All right, hello. So welcome. In this video, we are going to be looking at the spinner EA. We're going to be looking at the spinner EA. So before we get started, I want to make it clear that spinner is a hedging EA. So spinner is a hedging EA. It operates off the principle of hedging. So I've included a video, a link in the description, a video that I feel to be good to watch for you to properly understand how hedging works if you don't do that or if you don't already. So I'm going to dive into the original principle of which the EA is based. So usually when you want to hedge, you need to make sure that the original trade that you are taking, the original trade direction is going to win most of the time, because if it goes against you, you're just basically breaking even. So we only make money when it actually goes in our direction. The when it goes against us, we basically just look to break even the trade and come out at a break even position. Now, however, over the years, there are a couple of things that I've noticed with most EAs that actually hedge. They end up blowing your account. The reason being that you end up having so many trades running, and then you get to a point where your account can no longer sustain all those trades. So I have catered for that in this particular EA. So let's have a quick look at the options that are present in the EA. Then I will talk about the original concepts that the EA works on, and then we'll look at to a brief backtest. All right, so let's get started. So we'll open our navigator. We'll come in here and we'll pick the spinner. All right, so you can learn more about this EA or other EAs we have on our channel at youtube.com at Trade Expert. So you're basically on this channel, so you can learn more about all the other EAs that we have. You can just subscribe, click the alert button so that you get click notification button rather, so that you get an alert every single time I release a new video. And if you have any question concerning this particular video or any of our EAs, feel free to leave a comment in the comments, and I'll be good to reply as quickly as I can. All right, so the first thing is you need to allow live trading. Make sure you allow live trading. We do not use any DL, so there's no need to allow DL imports. Then we'll go straight to the inputs. So the first thing is that the fractal, this works off fractals. I'll explain that later. Or let me just do that right away so that we don't take up much of our time. So basically what we do is that we'll try to use the smart money concept. The smart money concepts of liquidity runs, liquidity grabs, false move, vector moves, or whichever one you want to call it. So basically what it looks like is this. We expect that if we are supposed to go up in a week, so if a week is supposed to be an up week, this can be used for daily, for weekly, but in this case, this particular EA is meant for weekly trades. All right. So if we're supposed to go up in a particular week is supposed to be a buy week, then what we expect is that we should trade down. All right, we should trade down, come to the downside. All right, create something that looks, then we go up a little bit. So what would have happened is some people will take in, feel that okay, a buy move has started, placing some buys, have their stops at the current lows. Then we'll have something called a liquidity run, which takes out the lows, which takes out these lows and all the stops that were at this point, and then turn up. So basically what we want to do is we want to see them form this fractal, right, within the early parts of the week, Monday, Tuesday, usually. So we want to see them form either a low fractal, right, or we'll see them form a fractal on the upside, right? So we want price to come and run out those lows. We want to run out the lows created, and then price moving in the opposite direction. So it's that simple. That's just the concept. So the fractal time frame that we'll have is 4 hours. I will encourage you to leave it like that. the initial lot size, you can play around with this, find out what works best for you depending on your goals. So backtest this EA before you start using it. Make sure that it's in line with the goals that you have. I would give a couple of presets, templates if you want. Can get to, so if you order this, you will get a particular link to actually download some presets that you can actually use to for your EE, all right, that you can actually use so that you don't have to go through all the stress of having to backtest all over again. There are some backtests I've already done to discover some optimized from optimization to discover the settings that work best with certain pairs and all that. So you can just use those particular settings for your own EA. Now, the next thing that we is the gap pips. Again, these are all things that you can, when we go to the testing, you can see how to optimize this. So this is 50 pips. So this is in pips. So you can see gap pips. This is your take profit in pips. Please, if you haven't done so, I will encourage you to go watch that video, how hedging works and the mathematics behind hedging, so you understand what the gap is supposed to be, what the tip is supposed to be. Now, the multiplier, again, if you've gone through that video, you understand what your multiplier is. Now, to derive this, your multiplier, I've created a short Excel, very simple Excel file. I will enable you to calculate the right multiplier to use. So all you just have to do is to put in your pips, all right, put in the gap pips, put in your TP, and then the allowance. So basically what we are looking at is that this gap, by the time we've done all these things, your by the time you hedge, so what this multiplier is basically supposed to do, what this multiplier is basically supposed to do is that it's supposed to, if we take a buy trade, so we're going to place a buy limit here. We're expecting that price would come run out. Sorry, just a moment. I can mistakenly open this. All right, so we expect price to come run out this lows and then begin to head to the upside. So it runs out this low. So we're going to place a buy limit at those points. So the very first fractal that was created and it's run out. So the very first fractal that is created and picking out. So in this case, for instance, price created this fractal first. I still think we took out this first. So let me look for a good example. Okay, so okay, this was the first fractal that was created, but this is the first fractal that is actually taken out. All right, so we would have had replace a buy limit at this point. So since we don't know which place will be taken out, what this EA would have done is that to place a buy limit here, all right, and place a sell limit here. Remember what we're trying to do? We're assuming that we'll go against the flow that is established in the opening parts of the week. So if we're expecting to go up for the rest of the week, then we're expecting to come down first. So if we're expecting to go up, if we want to go up, then what will happen? We'll come down first. So if first fractal is created, you run out that fractal, we go up. All right, the same thing happened, played out here. In fact, played out here. All right, so we had this. Okay, this didn't play out well. We had this, would have set a buy sell limit here, takes it out, sell down. And whether this would have been enough to give us a profit or not, we don't know, and all that. So, but just get the idea. So the multiplier, now let's say we've taken a buy and then price moves against us and begins to come down. So the gap pips is the number of pips, is where your SL would have otherwise been. So let's say you take a buy here. So the number of pips specified here, that is in the gap pips, is the number of pips between here and where your SL should have been. Now, instead of having our SL, what we'll do is that we'll take a sell trade. So instead of having a stop loss, remember your stop loss, if you're in a buy, your stop loss is actually a sell trade. All right. So we'll actually have a sell stop waiting 50 pips below this level. So if price gets there, it will basically take a sell and then we expect that will continue going down. If price then begins to move up back and returns back to this level, we'll take another buy. And if it moves in our direction, 50 pips in our direction, or whatever TP we have set. So this TP in pips is the number of pips that it takes from wherever you have bought to go up to go and hit your TP, or if you sell, to go down sufficiently to go and hit your TP. So either way, if we buy and we are correct, we make money. If we buy and we're not correct, we sell and we basically break even. All right. Now, one of the things that I came to notice of other EAs that I had that used to hedge in time past is that you can run into a ranging market, something like this, where price just continues to go up and down, and so many trades are opened. And what's just basically happens is that you now create a situation where, and remember, you're using a multiplier. So this might look 0.05 might look very small, but very soon you just discover that you're trading 1 lot, 2 lots, 5 lots, 10 lots, and what have you. And before you know what's happening, you can get into a situation where you blow your account. So to prevent that, you can actually impose a maximum number of trades. Now, the way I use this personally, I just leave that to be a reasonably high number. All right, so you can actually even take that to 1,000 if you want. I want it to take as many trades as possible. All right, so if you want this to be open-ended, what you should just do is just to put a very, very high number. Don't put 0, please. If you put 0, it won't take any trades. All right, it won't take any trades. So make sure you do not put 0. All right, make sure you do not put 0. So if you don't put 0, it will take only one trade. Only one trade. All right, make sure you do not put 0. All right. Okay. Now, this mitigation number. So instead of what do we call it? Instead of continuing, forever. Now, this mitigation number is the number at which it will begin to do what I call a mitigation. So let's say we now find ourselves in a range. Let's say we find ourselves in a range and we're just basically, going up and down, not really going anywhere. And then we've opened like a particular number of trades. So we now want that after that particular number of trades, we are afraid that there is a risk that we might actually blow an account or do serious damage to our account. So what we can do is, instead of continuing to multiply upwards, we can begin to scale down the lot sizes that we are using. So what I call that is mitigation. So here we can choose the mitigation multiplier. So instead of using this multiplier of 2.2, we can use a multiplier of say 0.95, something less than 1, so that even as it continues going, the iterations can continue. That's the new trades opened on and on. It can continue doing whatever thing it's doing, but then it begins to reduce the lot sizes of subsequent trades, so that way we'll take a loss. Right, we'll actually take a loss, but the loss won't be that huge that we blow an account. All right, so this mitigation number means the number of trades that should be opened before it starts mitigating. So for this, I'm just going to make it 3.0. So because I like to err in the direction of the trade I opened, I like to just usually err in the direction of the trade of the original direction I wanted to go to. So basically what will happen is it will take a buy. All right, so let's say it begins to come down and goes 50 pips lower. So it should have gotten to where our SF should be, and then it takes a sell, and then it begins to come. So let's use this example for instance. So we have here, we take a buy. Or here we had, all right, that's not a good, very good example. Let's use this. All right, so we had this. So price comes in here. All right. Now set this fractal, then price trades up, hits this. All right, so you'd have had a sell, comes down without hitting your TP. It moves back up. All right, and then begins to move against you. You it will open a buy. So it will assume that it's already moving against you. It opens a buy, and then it begins to move against you. It will get here, it will open. Once it gets here, it opens another sell. So here it will open another sell, right? Once it comes down to this place again, it opens another sell. And then let's assume that it also begins to go up. So what it basically means is once three trades, we have three trades running. All right. So the first trade in the actual direction wanted, second trade against the actual direction that we picked originally, third trade in the direction that we want. It means from this point on, from the fourth trade, reduce the lot size by this particular amount. So instead of having, if we had a one lot size, what would they have is 0.95 lots. All right, and on like that. It will just continue to reduce the lot size. Instead of increasing the lot sizes by this number, it would increase it by this particular number, which will actually make it to be dropping. All right, so the next thing you can do is that you can actually indicate the slippage. Now, another thing that can happen with your trades is that if we have high volatility and there is so much slippage, it can actually affect the outcome of your trades. So one of the things you can do is to indicate the amount of slippage. So this is the, I don't want more than this particular amount of slippage. So we can just make this 1.0 pips. I will encourage you to use this particular EA with very liquid pairs, preferably the majors or other very liquid pairs where the spreads and all that is quite small to help to limit the cost. Then you can choose the days of the week to trade. From my personal experience, it's best to use this on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So for me, you can just click this to be false. You can leave it to be true and see what your results look like. And then you can click OK. All right, so if you've done everything well, if you work with EAs, this should be smiling. So it's not smiling because my auto trading is not enabled. So I just click on this and you can see that it's now smiling. So basically my EA is all is working as it should be. So if this was on earlier, it would have picked, we would have been in the sell trade at the moment, right? So it should have placed the sell right here. All right. So let's do a quick back test to see what that looks like. So I already have my strategy tester opened. For those of us who don't know how to do this, I'll just come in here and then click on this strategy tester. You can also click Control R to open your strategy tester. So Control R. So I have it spinner. And I'm going to do a quick back test from January to December 2022. All right, so let's see, 4 hours, initial lot size 0.1, 50 pips, 50 pips, multiplier 2.2, max number of trades 100, mitigation number, I'd like to make this 3, mitigation multiplier, I'll leave that at 0.95, my slippage, just leave it at 0, Tuesday true, Wednesday true, and or what have you. Okay, so we can click on OK. So that we can see what is going on there. Let's click on visual mode to on. And then I think we are all set to go. So we can click on start. All right, so it's going to load some data. I'll come in here and watch it play. All right, so we are going. All right, so first fractal. Now we have a buy trade running. And TP hit. So you could see the fractal low there. Price took out that fractal. We had our buy trade straight to TP. So once the TP has been hit for a particular week, no other trades will be taken until the following week. All right, so this helps to limit the number of trades that are running per time on your screen. So let's see. All right, so we have a fractal low. So once the fractal low is formed, all right, we are good to go. So for those who couldn't see that, we have this here. There's a buy limit placed right there. All right. Now we've activated the sell. Now instead of selling, we had a buy. So we open the buy limit and then we hit our TP. So we have basically hedged out of this particular trade. So we're waiting for the next week. All right, so we have a fractal high formed. Once Tuesday opens, we are going to see our order placed. So, all right, so we have a fractal low here. We have a fractal high here. So we've seen we have what? So right here, we have a buy limit with our TP down there. Here we have a buy limit, sorry, with our TP up here. And here we have a sell limit with our TP down there. So let's see how price moves. Okay, now we have our buy limit triggered. So we're in a buy trade. Price continues dancing. It's moving against us. And remember, that's opened a sell stop. All right. So instead of an SL, we'll have our sell stop in place. It's moving opposite the original direction wanted. Let's see how that plays out. All right. So one of the beauties of the hedging system is that basically, regardless of how the market moves, you are almost not losing money. So the only time you will lose if you get into an extended range. But if you had been trading the range normally, you would have still lost more money than you would lose if you use the mitigation effect. If you don't use the mitigation, if you have sufficient money, if you have enough money to just keep the iterations running, eventually you are going to close out the trades one way or the other. So to still making money, but I just prefer to use the mitigation option because I've seen hedging blow a lot of accounts. So that's one of the things that you have with assurances that it won't happen. So we've gotten into a new week. The trade is still running. Since we have a running trade, it's not going to open a new trade until that trade is closed out, and then we have the trade closed out. So again, we hedged out this trade. Instead of a buy, we had a sell. All right. So now we're in a new buy. Right, this buy here, then price triggered it. So let's see how that moves. Do we actually get a buy or we get a sell? So usually if you are trading this thing, okay, and we seems we are getting a sell, our sell stop has been triggered. And that is TP. So again, we've hedged out. So we've had 3 trades now where we hedged out, and that's quite something. All right. So unlike what you usually find in the markets, where everybody likes to sell you, just come and show you where it works best. I try like to show people where it gives, the not so great results. So if we go to the graph of this at the moment, we would have seen that we've just gone up just a little bit. All right, just made just some profit. We made just some profit. So when you're using the hedging EA, you want to just focus on the equity because your balance would be all over the place. Now, when it's going to close, just your balance is always going to be higher, usually higher than your equity when you're using this particular hedging tool. All right. We had a sell originally. Now our buy has been triggered. Now, in all these places we looked at before, what you would have had is a situation where you were hitting stop loss, hitting stop loss, hitting stop loss, hitting stop loss all this way. But now, instead of hitting stop loss in all these trades, we've managed to do what? We managed to break even instead. So instead, price moved against the original trade direction that we chose, but we still managed to do what? Break even and even make a little bit of profit out of it. All right. We even managed to make a little bit of profits out of it. So hopefully we begin to see price really move in our direction. If you've traded a while, you're not really so bothered because this is in the early parts of the year where price tends to basically have a whole lot of volatility, range a lot, you know, not particular big direction with regards to um, major trends on the higher time frames. So that's understandable. So, but you can see that in these difficult periods, we've been able to still do what? We've been able to still pull something out of the market. Still been able to pull something out of the market. So, let's see how this plays out. Again, this looks like it wants to give us another hedge trade or not. Okay, I spoke too early. Yeah, now we've hit our TP. You can see how the equity curve has moved upward. So that's basically just how it works. You can go on and backtest this a lot more. So now I'm just going to run this without the visual mode so that we can see what the results look like. So for the testing, can leave it at 10,000. Or let's just use something that more people are used to, $1,000. Inputs 0.1. Just leave everything as it was. And then let's run this without the visual mode included to run a lot faster now so that we can just look at the results. All right, so let's look at the graph. All right, so I had a bit of a loss here, and now we are going back up. We're back to break even on the account. So let's see how this plays out. There's not 10% here, 10% drawdown. So still well within the good ranges. Almost 20% up at this moment. So when backtesting, I always like to use the every tick. It's usually the most precise method that looks very close to what you have in real life market scenario. So I'm backtesting is on H4. You can backtest it on H4 and any time frame below H4. So H4 and below H4, H1. I use H4 because that allows me to backtest longer periods. So if you're backtesting, of course, you understand that the lower time frame, the lower the time frame you're backtesting, the what is it? The higher, the lengthier the data you need, or the larger the data you need to be able to work effectively when it is going to be downloading data. So just like to use H4, makes it easier to backtest. Just from my own personal experience, that is. So at the moment we are around about 50% up, still within the year, not bad so far. So should be about 60% up. Not done yet. So even though it doesn't look like the super smooth equity curve, but you could see your equity is almost always rising, apart from this occasional period. So when you enter into extended ranges, you are going to have that mitigation trigger. And once mitigation is triggered, you're definitely going to take a loss, but it's going to be a mitigated loss. The loss isn't going to be that crazy. All right. So I basically designed something that I could use with peace of mind, be sure that it's going to make me money, and at the same time, basically protect my account from extended drawdowns. So that's just the whole idea. Um, in I'm going to do a second video. I think I'll just include that in the comments, a link to that particular video in the comments. I'll explain to you how you can actually use this with even proprietary accounts, with prop accounts. Yes. It's not going to help you to pass a prop account, but if you have accounts, you can actually accounts that you can buy. You can buy live accounts like not to market anyone. At least I know of a couple of proprietary firms that actually allow you to get live accounts that you can start trading and getting profit from day one without necessarily need to pass a challenge. So you can get those accounts and actually trade this on this. I'm actually going to dive a bit into it to explain how you can tailor this kind of EAs to actually generate profits on those type of accounts. All right, so then this particular video is just focused on explaining how this works, how to use it, how to test it. So in the next video, we'll do a lot of optimization, we'll do some back tests, and then we'll look at how to use it with proprietary firm accounts and what have you. So, but looking at the results, looking at the reports, we've managed to double our account in the year. So this is basically 1 year. All right. So in 1 year, we managed to double our accounts. Like I said, I wasn't looking at something crazy. We had a 32% maximum drawdown. Of course, you can use this with a proprietary firm account, but this is for your own personal account. So if you're trading your personal account at 2% drawdown in the year is not terrible in my own opinion. It's not terrible in my opinion. So for us to get 100% profit. So from drawdown to what we were able to get, this basically we reached 32% to get 107%, or basically, yeah, 107%. So we reached 2% to get 107%. So if we were to look at that, 107 divided by 32. So that's a risk to reward ratio of 1:3.3. So we are getting 3.3 times what we risked. So that's virtually good in my opinion. That's good in my opinion. Great. So next video we'll look at optimizations and all that. Until then, be good.